All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are going to walk through the process of filing your taxes. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a W-2, which you received from any employer you worked for the previous year. On the right-hand side, you see a 1040EZ, and this is what you are going to be completing in your Knowledge Matters as well as your final project. So we are going to be using this, and I'll walk you through the steps. Remember, in tax forms, we are not going to use dollar signs, decimals, commas, dashes for negative numbers, anything like that. So make sure you don't put that or you will have an issue filing your tax return. So let's walk through this step by step. Number 1 says wages, salaries, and tips. This should be shown in box 1 of your Forms W-2. Attach your Forms W-2. So we're going to go over here to our W-2 form, and we see in box 1 right here, we've got $14,720. So we're going to enter that in, $14,720. Remember, no decimals, no commas, anything like that. All right, so that is line 1. Number 2, we are going to enter taxable interest. If the total is over $1,500, you cannot use the Form 1040EZ. That's all right, because we know from a 1099 that we have received $234 in taxable interest, probably from something like a checking account or a savings account throughout the year. So we've got our taxable interest of $234. That would have come from a 1099 INT. Number 3, unemployment compensation and Alaska permanent fund dividends. We did not have any of that for the previous year, so we're going to leave that blank. Line 4 asks us to add lines 1, 2, and 3 together. So again, no commas, dollar signs, any of that. So we're going to add $14,720 to $234, and we're going to get $14,954. All right, let's take a look at line 5 here. If someone can claim you or your spouse if a joint return as an independent, check the applicable boxes below and enter the amount from the worksheet on the back. So for these purposes, we are always going to claim as single, which means we enter $10,150. If we were claiming married filing jointly, and this time we would put the $20,300. But we're just going to be filing singly, so we're going to put $10,150. Line 6 asks us to subtract line 5 from line 4. If line 5 is larger than line 4, enter 0, and this is our taxable income. So when we do that subtraction, we are going to see a difference of $4,804. So that is the actual income that they should be able to tax. Number 7 is asking for federal income tax withheld from forms on the W-2 and 1099. So let's go back to that W-2 form. And our federal income tax withheld is here in box 2, $1,501. We do not have any federal income tax withheld on our 1099. So we're just going to put in our $1,501 here. All right, notice number 9 automatically calculates there for us. And we're going to take a look at number 10. Number 10 says tax, use the amount on line 6 above to find your tax in the tax table in the instructions. Then enter the tax from the table on this line. So let's go ahead and let's pull up this tax table over here. And we're going to take a look at line number 6, $4,804. So we need to find which tax bracket that amount falls into. Since we are in the first tax bracket here, we see that our amount, $4,804, is going to be multiplied by 10%. And that will give us line 10, or the tax. So when we multiply 4,804, let's go ahead and remove that comma, by 10%, we are going to have $480.40. Just remember, we don't do decimals or cents. We just round to the nearest whole dollar. So we're going to leave it at $480. Line 11 states healthcare, individual responsibility, see instructions. we had full year coverage. So we don't have a penalty to pay for health care since we had health care all year long. So we're going to put a 0 in this box. Line 12 is going to ask us to add lines 10 and 11 together, and that total is just going to be $480. And then we're going to move down to 13A and 14, and it's essential we look at these correctly. If the line 9 is larger than line 12, subtract line 12 from line 9. That's your refund. That's money you're getting back. And we will put that in 13A. Now, look at line 14. If line 12 is larger than line 9, subtract line 9 from line 12. This is the amount of taxes you actually owe. So let's take a look here. If line 9, which is $1,501, is larger than line 12, which is $480, then we are going to be calculating a refund by subtracting. So $1,501 minus $480 is going to give us a total refund of $1,020. And at this point, we are able to file our tax return. 14 can remain blank, or you could put 0 since we don't owe any money. Of course, if you were really filing the tax return, you would have to do signature where you want your refund to go, all those types of things as well. But filing electronically, we do not have to fill that in by hand. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at doing your taxes when you have multiple W-2s. This is going to be the case in a lot of your Knowledge Matters. So please make sure that you are adding both W-2s as we go through this process. So number 1 states wages, salaries, and tips. This should be shown in box 1 of your Form W-2s. So we're going to look at box 1 here and box 1 here and add those two together to get our line 1. So our first one says $18,072.40. So we're just going to leave that since we're rounding to the nearest whole dollar. And then we're going to go here to box 1, so that's $11,028, but we're going to change that to $29 since it's 60 cents, round it up to the next dollar. So we've got a total of $29,101 we're going to put into line 1. Line 2 says taxable interest. Again, so this would be found on a 1099 is where you would find your taxable interest. They did not give us a 1099 for this example, so I'm just going to give you the information. But again, you would find this on a 1099. The total is going to be $452. Let's go ahead and skip down to line number 4, and we're going to add lines 1, 2, and 3 for our adjusted gross income. So $29,101, $452 will take us to $29,553 for our adjusted gross income. Number 5 states if someone can claim you or your spouse if a joint return is a dependent, check the applicable boxes below and enter the amount from the worksheet on the back. If no one can claim you or your spouse if a joint return, enter $10,150. And again, just for our class, we're always going to file as single. So $10,150 would go here. Now, let's go on to line 6, and that states subtract line 5 from line 4. So $29,553 minus $10,150 is going to give us $19,403. So that is actually our taxable income. All right, now we're going to go back to our W-2s, and we are going to look at how much federal taxes were withheld from both of our W-2s for line number 7. So we're going to take a look at box number 2 for the first W-2 here, and that's $611. We're going to add that to box number 2 in W-2 number 2, and that's going to be $591. So 611 plus 591 is equal to 1,202. So we're going to put that in here in line number 7. All right, and then number 10, remember we are going to look at our tax table. So we are going to start with line 6 to find your tax table in the instructions. So line 6 was 19,403. So notice, unlike our first example, it does not fall in the first tax bracket, it falls in the second tax bracket. So what we need to do is pull up our calculator, and we need to take our line 6, 19,403, and we need to subtract out the first tax bracket, 9,225. And that is equal to $10,178. That is the amount that's going to be taxed at 15%. So go ahead, multiply that amount by 15% or 0.15, and we know in bracket number 2, we need to pay $1,526.70. But you can't forget to add back in bracket 1, which was a total of $923. So let's add in our first bracket of 923 to give us a total of $2,449.70. We're going to round this up to $2,450. There we go. And you can do this. You're going to find where you fall into any bracket with any amount here. Just subtract the last bracket, and then you're going to add that amount back in once you multiply by the percentage over the last bracket. Healthcare coverage is line 11, so we had healthcare coverage all throughout the year. So we do not have a penalty of any kind, so we're going to put a 0 here. And line 12 is just going to ask us to add lines 10 and 11 together for our total tax, which was $2,450. Now, we are going to look at 13A or 14. So if line 9 is larger than line 12, we are going to subtract 12 from 9. This is your refund. Now notice line 9 is 1,202, and it is actually smaller than line 12 at 2,450. So we will not be receiving a refund this year. Let's take a look at 14. If line 12 is larger than line 9, subtract line 9 from line 12. This is the amount you owe, and this is the case this year, $2,450 on line 12 and $1,202 on line 9. So let's go ahead and subtract those. So we'll start with line 12, 2,450 minus 1,202. So we actually owe $1,248 this year in taxes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and with that, we should be good and we can file our tax return.